Hello and welcome, this is Synoptic and I'm doing an instructional video for Empire Total War. There will be two videos and then a final short clip of what I think is my opinion on what's to come. And the focus is long rifle spam and light dragoons, which is mostly in response to some comments and some threads in certain forums as of late, which all involve their hatred towards the rifles. Primary reason for this is because of the flat maps that people play on. Most of these advantages from the rifle will be eliminated if you only played the new maps, which allow for much more skill. So my army consists of 7 light infantry, 3 rifles, 1 light infantry, 1 militia, general, 4 heavy cav and 2 light dragoons. My opponent has 12 long range, 6 light dragoons, a regiment de force and a bodyguard. So at the start of the battle, none of his army was visible apart from his general, and I'm still quite unaware. In the background, you're seeing 6 light dragoons pop up, and some of his long range have popped up now, 3 of them. Little to my knowledge, there's 12, so I'm already becoming quite cautious. I'm sending up my light dragoons, and in both videos, my tactics will be quite similar. Mostly because of a critical weakness of this build, and it's virtually no defense of the long range. So there's no real forces protecting them. Theoretically, you would run away from any coming force that you send at the rifles, which is why in my tactic I will have cavalry behind my line infantry, but as I engage. I also have the meat shield tactic. This is to absorb the initial shot, although it does not help that much. By the time my men reach them, they will have achieved their second volley. And as you'd know, when long range fire up close, they are much more accurate. They're much better than, say, line infantry firing up close, where it'll be virtually equal kills. So at this point, he sent his light dragoons on the flanks. Typical rifle light dragoon tactic is to surround. And because they're in skirmish doctrine, they'll be able to surround quite easily, even with the infantry. So the cavalry shouldn't have too much of a problem enveloping me. Although I have 2 light dragoons on my left flank, I'm going to swing them around. And a nice tip is to have your long range behind your line infantry. So when you engage your line, you don't have them in front, you have them behind to watch the rear, because light dragoons will most likely go there. So following my line push, I'm sending in my heavy cav as well as line infantry for the melee. And it's also good to know about the stats of the exact riflemen you're up against. You can see in the foreground one of my line infantry is about to start routing because of the extra 5 units that have popped up of rifles. And you're seeing my multiple layers of riflemen. I only have 3 rifles and a light infantry, but I'll do my best with covering my rear. So when you attack an area, you're threatening them, and they'll feel compelled to reinforce their army. So whatever plan they had to do in enveloping you and disrupting you, they'll have to support themselves. And light dragoons cannot fight heavy cavalry at all. They'll just drop. And I think that was a glitch, just some heavy cavalry just jumping around. And in particular, long rifles of the Americans do not have that good morale. And you can use multiple units just to hold certain bulks of the army. I only have 1 light infantry holding up an entire force of long range who can be used to be pushed up and fight my area, so I'm only taking part of the army. Although I don't really have a choice here because my army can only take up so much space, which is an issue with an enveloping army. If part of your army gets attacked, then your other half is left unused unless you do something about it. At this point, my opponent, I believe, he quits the game, knowing that half his army has routed and my line of infantry is all moving up to his remaining force. So that's one tactic. Attack part of the army, but you absolutely have to have cavalry behind your line infantry in preparation for a retreat, which is most likely with rifles. So in this army, I have a skirmish army. I'm fighting fire with fire, although my opponent has 8 units of cavalry. This is on medium units, medium cash, so 8 cav is pretty big, and he's got 4 rifles. So again, made shield just to absorb rifle fire. I said I have Grenzes and Windbouchers. This is my attempt to create the most powerful build in the game. I believe this is quite powerful. If you'd like to try it out in medium units, medium cash, it's 4 Grenzes, 2 Windbouchers, I think 2 guards, a militia, and 4 light dragoons. So the major issue with mass cav is protecting your flanks. If one gets in your lines, especially if you have a skirmish army, you're practically ruined. However, after the shot of my opponent's rifles, I was able to just push my light dragoons into them. So again, capitalizing on the weakness of the army previously seen. There's no defense of rifles. Yes, they can run away, but they can never run away from cavalry. He also has an artillery unit who he tried to run away, but I'll just charge that as well. So knowing this, he tried to hit one of my flanks before, although I angled up, and I'll show angling up in my short video after this. It goes for about 1 minute, just some basic movements with a skirmish army. So I was going to get my right flank. This is much more successful in routing one of my units, but although again I have 3 units angled up, ready to fire, so he has to get out of there ASAP. So if he doesn't, that means he gets smashed up. Also guards against any cavalry will eat them up. They don't even really have to go into the square formation to destroy them because of their stats alone. And here we go, this is an actual square, so this is the other half of his cavalry. So mass rifles, the main weakness is always the rifles, because they have a very long reload. Yes, they will get the first shot, and yes, you will get a lot of losses, but it should be quite apparent that you will not lose as long as you go for the belt buckle. And again, this issue only really happens on grassy flat maps or some of the old maps. If you play on the new maps, you will not have this issue. Yesterday I had a battle against a guy who used 10 rifles on Syrian Ridge, where he basically fired all of them into the hill, and then I just charged them with cav, and then he quit the game, which was awesome. So that's basically the end of this. After you start attacking the rifles, as again I said before, they will feel compelled to attack. They have to hurry it up. The main advantage of the rifle army is everything is in your field. You can do what you want. You can play as slow as you like, because theoretically they will just keep running at you while you keep running away, keep disrupting them with cavalry. Although if your rifles are gone, you're gonna have to do something very quickly. So this is my rendition of the rifle dragoon army. I have 12 long range and 8 dragoons, and I'm in triple line formation. I got my first line in skirmish doctrine, second line formation, back line consisting of 3 light dragoons. This is basically a remedy for the weakness that I said before, which was no protection for the rifles. So with the second line, they protect the front line, and they can also set stakes quite easily, mainly because they're in line formation, and also the light dragoons give a nice cover. And now this is in response to a line push. You just run up your light dragoons and go straight for the melee. As they're still running, there won't be much of a chance of them stopping and shooting your light dragoons, so you just run at them up and attack them, pull them back, start again. So when you've disrupted the line, you can retreat your long range again and again and again. Not to mention, light dragoons on their own can pepper them. They don't have to engage, they can just shoot them and run off while they reload and do it again, which is very annoying and why I like to cap them. And now this is in preparation for a flanking tactic. So you just collapse and start sending, and you have to collapse and expand. So I'm putting light dragoons all over the place. You can see the reinforcement of the right dragoons, and they're all coming into this general area. So if they flank you, attack the flank, attack their flanking body, and it shouldn't be too hard considering the amount of mobility you have with the light dragoons, as well as the long range who run much faster than standard line infantry. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for watching.